listen here, fellas. Check out my new product. Now, it's pretty, ain't it? It's yeller. It's yeller. Now, what I did is I took this little hole right here. I made it a little bigger. And you know what that does? I think by doing that, I was able to squeeze out one more jewel. Absolutely, it's exciting. Check it out. Check it out. It's nice. Hi everybody, welcome back for another video. Today we're talking about the 4 types of modders, and there are different types and different styles, and you may hopefully learn something from my point of view on this. All modifications and all modders are not uniformly good or bad, but I have strong opinions about this particular topic, and it's sort of a follow-up to some of my previous videos where I talked about legal questions that you would get about your modifications and things that you've done. I think we can also agree that there are generally 2 major categories of modifications. There's reliability modifications, and then there is power modifications. And I think that legally wise people will focus on reliability mods. And I want to talk about the number 1 type of modder, and that is the person who actually is helpful. These people will maybe look at different O-rings, and they'll try to find ones that won't blow out, that'll do better. I think in general, think about it this way. If the modder is using parts that are normally in a parts kit. So for example, here's a typical parts kit, and you can see some of the kind of stuff that's in there. There's a lot of springs and O-rings and various parts. I'm trying not to spill it, but you can see there's a lot of different parts, mostly O-rings, screws, springs, that kind of thing. If it's something that would be normally inside of a parts kit, that is borderline whether that's even considered a mod. You know, whether you use a better O-ring or not, or a better screw or spring, that's just good maintenance and good upkeep of your launcher and keeping it running well and reliable. That's a really good thing. So the number 2 kind of modder, though, is the kind of modder that is always making a promise to you, always a bit of a tease. I've got this new launcher. Let's get excited because let's see, I might do great things with this weak launcher. I'm gonna do some mods, and who knows what's gonna happen. And you go through and they do a few mods, and weeks go by, and you realize after a while you've been duped. The person has moved on to another launcher, and that launcher is still just as weak and just as bad as it was before. There were some mods tried, trivial results, not much to show for it. So these people overpromise and they never deliver. They leave you hanging. That's bad. I mean, why would you want to invest your time and get excited every time there's a new launcher to be modded and then only to be disappointed? So that's the kind of modder that really will leave you disappointed. The 3rd kind of modder is a modder that kind of walks a borderline. And this is a modder who actually will do a mod that some people appreciate. They might like this particular change that was made because it looks pretty. The design looks great, or they've added some color to it. And they will, there's sort of a little bit of a snake oil salesman there. They may have a new product that they generated, and they'll go out of their way to try to prove to you that that product is a little bit better than some standard product that you can buy cheaper that's out there. And they're really a bit of salesmanship, and it's a little flash, but lack of substance. And that's the kind of mods that also, I think, dupe a lot of people into buying into those kind of things based on what they see. And it's a little flashy, it's new, well, it's something you can't get here. And so that kind of thing, I think, leaves a bad taste in the mouth for me. I think I don't really like that kind of thing. It's not my cup of tea. The fourth modder is the actual modder that really initially stimulated my disdain for modders, but at the same time, the reason why this modder still has some of my respect is that these types of modders actually know how to make real mods. They know how to do things, but the problem is they do it at all cost. They do not care the consequences, and they do it at the expense of reliability. And again, for me, reliability and any of those kind of things, tweaking that, it's a very low yield process. You know, it's very wasteful of your time. It may or may not ever yield anything new. But that was the initial major contribution to this less lethal community, was the identification of a better O-ring to go in the heat core that would not blow out, and that got all this ball rolling. So I think we still have to pay homage to that kind of thinking. But the modders that go in and they make structural changes, like I talked about recently, major structural changes, caps, and expansion chambers and these kind of things that modify a less lethal launcher or a paintball gun into a less lethal, but take it the next level. They take it up to the next notch. Now, they know what they're doing. They may have the tools and the ability to do it, but they lack a core understanding of what's really the heart of less lethal. And they choose to exceed that. And these are not experimenters. They're not playing. These are people that intend on selling products that are dangerous and fail at a very high rate, and deny that they fail at a very high rate, and are stubborn about it. And if you buy a product from them and you have any problem with it, you're hung out to dry. So that is the worst of the worst. But ironically, those are the people who actually have the best skill set and know how to do what they do. They just tend to have the wrong mentality. So there's those four categories. I would say when you see people who are doing this, and especially if they're trying to sell you a product, try to gauge where they fall on this spectrum. And just keep in mind that anytime someone is trying to sell a product, there's always going to be a conflict of interest there. They're always going to have an incentive to tell you this works really well, or to deny the fact of the matter. Deny your own eyes. Don't believe what you see. Well, Americans recently went through that, where we were told to not believe what we see, and we voted, and the results are known. Do the same thing with your less lethal launchers and your purchases. Vote with your eyes and what you actually see. Don't believe what they say. Don't believe snake oil salesmen. And again, don't fall for the fun, trivial over promises and under delivering. So that's why I've really soured on modifications, because I see a lot of cartoon characters who are doing these kind of things, and the field hasn't moved forward because of it. It's just created echo chambers of different people who like different things. And so I bring you back to just the reality, nuts and bolts. This is the real deal. This is where your reliability and your launcher and your self-protection and your actual personal protection the rubber hits the road. Don't fall for all of the other stuff that people are going to throw at you. It's out there. There's an audience for everybody, I guess, but it's not my cup of tea, like I said. So everybody, be wise, take care, see you next time.